Hey guys, this is Jake here with Cohesive Friendship Unit, and we are mere days away from the release of Red Faction Guerilla Remastered Edition on the Switch. And in light of that, I wanted to leave you guys with some tips and tricks and things you should know going into Red Faction Guerilla on the Switch. But before we go over all of that, I want to take a moment to thank all of you for your support. If you liked the video, please be sure to give us a like and subscribe for more great content from all of us at CFU. And be sure to stick around to the end of the video where I will be announcing a very special giveaway in celebration of one of my favorite original Xbox titles coming to the Switch. So again, stick around to the end of the video for more on that giveaway. Now, let's talk a bit about Red Faction Guerilla Remastered Edition, which launches on the Switch on July 2nd at a price tag of $30. Now, in Red Faction, you play as a miner named Mason who joins up with the Resistance movement on Mars to free the planet from the occupying baddies called the EDF. To do this, you go sector to sector, destroying everything the EDF owns in order to liberate the area and unlock cool shit while you're at it. This game is all about destruction, and even after 10 years after its initial release on the Xbox 360, its destruction mechanics still stand out as some of the best in the industry. As the name of the game suggests, you are running a guerrilla campaign against the Earth Defense Force, and the core of any good guerrilla campaign is hitting hard, hitting fast, and getting out before the cavalry arrives. The game has an alert level that will track the level of interest the EDF has in you at any given time. And since all of your actions in the game revolve around maintaining an appropriate alert level, I figured it'd be good to cover a bit about what each level entails and what it takes to lose each given level. The green level is your starting level, that's your safe level. You can go anywhere besides restricted areas and do whatever a regular old Martian would want to do. The first level beyond green is the yellow alert level, and this is when the EDF start to respond to your actions. To get here, you usually have to kill a handful of EDF soldiers and or destroy some low-value EDF buildings. At this level, you usually only see a couple of additional infantry units moving in on your last known location, and it's pretty easy to lose this level. All you have to really do is play stealthily, hiding, moving out of range, that kind of thing, or just eliminate the few enemies that do respond to you. And while you're outside of sight range, just avoid any major roadways where the EDF may be traveling. That way they don't see you and spike your alert level back up. As a side note, while we're talking about the yellow alert level, which is your first level, a hit and run in this game is a great way to play. If you're fast enough, you can pretty easily run through a handful of soldiers or destroy a couple buildings and get out with only a yellow alert status. This is good because at the yellow alert level, you don't have to head back to a guerrilla safe house or spend a lot of time losing the EDF, and you don't have to worry about getting mowed down by some of the heavy artillery that accompanies the higher alert levels. So it can be an effective strategy to lay some explosive barrels and remote detonators and blow up a building from outside the sight line of any EDF soldiers. That way you only incur yellow alert level and you can quickly move on to your next target without any issues. The next level after the yellow alert level, if you continue to wreak havoc on the red planet, is the orange alert level, which you'll begin to see some regular reinforcements arriving, and the EDF will actually start storming your position if they know where you are. Whereas at the yellow alert level, if the EDF don't look very hard for you, and if you stay hidden for a little bit, they will generally stop caring. At the orange level, they will seek you out and they will start attacking you as soon as they find out where you are. At the normal difficulty levels, you don't really have to worry about getting killed at the orange level. Orange is really an intermediate level, and you don't stay there for very long. Either your level will go up pretty quickly after you engage and kill some of the EDF soldiers, or your level will go back down if you stay hidden and they lose track of you after a certain amount of time. If you do end up killing a few more soldiers, or you continue to destroy some EDF property while you're at the orange alert level, you will move up to the final alert level, which is the red alert level. At this level, heavily armored EDF will begin to arrive constantly, and the EDF gunships will get called in. At certain difficulty levels and in certain areas, like high importance EDF targets and some of the later game sectors, tanks and other heavy weapons will begin to spawn in as well, which can be difficult to deal with. At this level, you are pretty much screwed if you stay and fight. Even if you're a kitted monster near the end of the game, the constant reinforcements will honestly begin to overrun you at some point. The best strategy, once you hit the red alert level, is to commandeer a vehicle and drive to the nearest Red Faction safe house as fast as possible. Once you get to the safe house, or within a certain area of the safe house, your alert level will drop pretty quickly back down to green, and you can go back out and resume whatever nefarious actions you were taking on in the first place. Now, with that being said, there is one exception, I would say, to the red alert level. Pretty much the fastest way to get to the red alert level is to attack one of the high importance EDF targets. And these are very often barracks or some sort of military installation. And anytime you attack those, there's a very high probability that you will find some sort of vehicle depot in there. And that will either have a tank or a mech or something like that. And those are pretty darn close to being indestructible. So it can be quite fun to go in, destroy a high value target, commandeer the tank or the mech, and run around and start destroying things everywhere. There is a mechanic in the game called the Mayhem mechanic. I don't know if that's actually what it's called, but I just called it that. But anytime you start destroying things after a certain amount of property damage, you will get a Mayhem counter, and that will count the amount of damage you've done in dollars. It usually shows up around $10 million, I believe. And once you get something like a tank or a mech from these high value targets, you could pretty much go around and destroy everything in the entire sector before you get killed. So that's always a fun way to play, and it feels pretty badass to go around and destroy everything, including the EDF vehicles that come flying in and all that. So that is one exception, I would say, to the quick desire of getting rid of the red alert level, is taking the full other end of the spectrum and just destroying everything once you reach that level. Now that we've kind of covered the basics of how the game works and how you're going to be moving through the game, let's hop into some of the tips and things to keep in mind while you're playing Red Faction. The first thing is, as I said, this game is all about destruction. And in Red Faction, once you destroy something, it stays destroyed. This is pretty cool, I've got to admit, because not a lot of games do this, even to this day. But it is something to keep in mind, and without spoiling too much, in some of the mid-game sectors, there are a number of bridges that are extremely important to getting around the area in a timely fashion. And if you are someone like me and you want to get the pro times on all of the transporter missions that you do, it is in your best interest to get those out of the way before you start knocking down bridges and you have to take the long way around. It's definitely not impossible to get those times even without the bridges, but it can be pretty damn frustrating to go the long way around and still have to hit the times that were definitely set with those bridges in place. Beyond that, there is something that I think not a lot of people know about Red Faction, but there is a cover system in the game. It's very rudimentary. As I said at the beginning of the video, Red Faction was initially released in 2009, so this was back when cover systems were still pretty basic. Current cover systems I think are a lot better, but in Red Faction there is a cover system. It works okay. Now that I know it's there, I still never use it. I think the game lends itself to the very arcadey style of gunplay, so you really don't need to hide and cover. It's actually a lot more fun to just jump around, shoot things, pick up more ammo, throw explosives, all of that. So there is a cover system, but to be completely honest, in the number of hours that I've played Red Faction, I have never ever used the system. One other thing to note while you're playing is falling buildings will hurt you. And this seems pretty obvious because falling objects definitely would crush you in real life, but that's something that we tend to forget in video games. So the number of times that I have killed myself by standing directly under a tower that I'm about to blow up is a little ridiculous. So it's worth mentioning, if you stand under a tower or even too close to a building that you're going to blow up, there's a good chance that the tower is going to fall on you and crush you, or you're going to be hit by some of the debris that comes flying off. So keep that in mind while you are playing your pyromaniac and blowing up buildings. They can hurt you if you stand a little too close. Now, some of the not so great parts of Red Faction, which I still think are not enough to dissuade anyone from buying the game, but do kind of show the age of the game. Again, released back in 2009, the remastered edition updates the graphics, but unfortunately doesn't fix some of the dated mechanics in the game. But one of those that you will probably very quickly notice is the recoil from the guns is not necessarily what you would expect. I'm sure a lot of us have played modern day first person shooters, and the guns in these games feel fantastic. But in Red Faction, the devs seem to have created the kickback mechanic by simply just shaking your camera. Normally, that's not too much of a problem. You will notice it when you're zoomed in shooting. It kind of makes it very difficult to aim, which seems logically, that seems like what it should be doing, but once you play it, trust me, you'll notice that it doesn't feel quite right. But it is also very noticeable on a lot of the vehicles. There are some vehicles in the Red Faction safe houses that have guns attached to them, and when you shoot them, it starts to jiggle the camera all over the place, and that will mess up your driving immensely, and it can be pretty annoying. So again, something that kind of shows the age of the game, but not so bad that you have to worry about it. I did say the gunplay is pretty arcadey, so it's not often that you zoom in. So it doesn't really affect any of the goodness of the game, in my opinion. But you will notice it, and it is something to note. Another thing that you will likely notice is the vehicles are rather floaty in this game. It seems to be a design decision, in my opinion, because it doesn't necessarily degrade from the game, but it is something to keep in mind. It definitely feels like one of the older Xbox titles. The vehicles are pretty floaty, not quite up to the standards of modern day vehicle mechanics. It may have been a choice to somehow simulate Mars, but I don't really know what they were thinking, but vehicles are pretty floaty. With that being said, they are a ton of fun to drive. They have the classic stick shift drifting mechanic that you would expect from an arcadey driving game, and it is a ton of fun to do that. Slide around corners, drift into EDF soldiers, whatever you want to do. It's a lot of fun, but it is worth noting that the vehicles are pretty floaty. You can angle the car while it's falling so that you don't lose momentum, but it's something that you kind of learn to finesse as you play the game further. And that is all I had for you guys as far as tips and tricks and the basics of Red Faction Guerilla. Let me know down in the comments if you guys are fans of Red Faction, if you have any other tips or suggestions for new players that I missed in this video. Please hammer them down in the comments below. I'd love to hear them and engage with you guys on that. Again, Red Faction is one of my favorite Xbox 360 titles, and I'm looking forward to its release on the Switch, July 2nd at a price point of $30. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm doing a special giveaway, since this is one of my favorite titles on the Xbox 360. We are giving away a copy of Red Faction Guerilla on Steam, on PC. And all you have to do to enter is like the video, leave a comment below, and be subscribed to our channel, and you will automatically be entered into the giveaway. We will be drawing one lucky subscriber on July 2nd, the release date of Red Faction Guerilla Re-Mars-tered Edition on the Switch, and you will win a copy of Red Faction Guerilla Re-Mars-tered on Steam. Again, all you have to do to enter is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below on this video. Be sure your subscription status is public so that I can see that, and I will let you guys know on July 2nd who won. So thank you all for tuning in to this video. I'm looking forward to the release of Red Faction and hearing your thoughts on the game and suggestions you have. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks, everyone.